Welcome back once again to your number one source for information, education, inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity in business today. That is a career in the insurance industry and financial services. You're listening to You Should Get a License, the podcast. And I am Rod Powell. And today we have someone who is very special, a true innovator and visionary in our space, someone who is really I'll say a king, just expanding the culture, in insurance, in financial services. He's the co-founder of the Society of Black Agents, aka SOBA, the head president of Noble Insurance Consulting and Brokerage down in Atlanta, Georgia. But today, tuning in from Houston, Texas. So I want to give it up and say thank you so much to the one and only T. Priester. T, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Hey, I appreciate that intro, man. I mean, you got me hyped now.
Right.
I usually hate the intro, doing an interview. I mean, I'm sure you're the same way. We do enough interviews where, people gas you up, but that's dope, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me tonight.
Absolutely, man. Hey, look, it's all the truth, it's all the truth.
Appreciate it.
I wanna just chat and I'll get into, just how I was introduced to you, at Black Friday. Through ACO and through Ngozi and introduced to SOBA and all the things that you guys are doing. But first, before we get into that, really for this platform, we speak to individuals who may be new in the industry, maybe they're seasoned, making some transitions, or just people who really want to kind of get a peek behind the veil and learn about the different opportunities that are out there from a real life perspective, people who have been there, done that, not just in the recruiting room. So can you give us an idea of your market space, your market segment? I know Noble's full service. What do you specialize in and what are you working on a day-to-day in this financial industry?
Yeah, so Noble, we say we're a solution-based insurance brokerage, which you would think is common sense, right? I mean, insurance is there to create a solution to a problem, whether it's replacing income, preparing you for, you passing away and making sure your debts are taken care of. So, what we do is we work with individuals, families, and small businesses to protect and grow wealth through life insurance. And, I got about 20 dedicated agents that work our full service portfolio. I work a few tech-based platforms like Ethos, where I got about 60 agents over there. But I mean, realistically, my goal is to change the conversation around insurance in our community specifically.
Yeah.
Right. We have a lot of misinformation when it comes to insurance in our community right now. The hot thing is, be your own bank. We know infinite banking and IULs have been around and popping since the 80s, but unfortunately, sometimes, we catch up on things late and we try to catch up and take shortcuts and end up in a bad situation. So, my focus has always been just changing the conversation in our community when it comes to how life insurance works. It's more than just burial. IULs are a great product. Whole life's a great product. I ain't one of those people that's like, oh, term is bad and, you got to go whole life. Like everybody has a need that this product can fit, disability, whole life, term, IULs, annuities. So we just try to get out in our community and have conversations so people understand the full scope of how insurance works.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And thinking of, there's two things that you said just in describing, where you really specialize and add that value. You talked about really the educational component, explaining, how things work and what options you can do. And also you mentioned, for our community specifically, because we often find ourselves, kind of behind the eight ball, when you have, other, whether it be, families or groups or companies that have been leveraging these things for years. And in certain cases with certain products, maybe even a century or two, but, for us, we might be finding out just about these things right now. Being an agency that really has a community focus, and I want to kind of go back into Black Friday, because that's where I first met you. You were on the panel, at Black Friday down in Atlanta with Ngozi and SOBA, and I think the Atlanta insurance professionals down there as well. How important do you feel at this particular time it is, for, Black insurance industry professionals to really kind of embrace this call for generational wealth education out there?
I mean, it's extremely important. I work with a lot of younger people who now are very interested in finding out ways to, build generational wealth. I love that the generations that are coming behind us, I was born in the 70s. So, we really didn't talk finance a lot in my household, but with social media and so many things and ways you can make money on the internet, young people are saying, well, how do I really grow wealth? They don't just want to randomly be chasing stuff. They're looking for strategy. So, for us, just being able to have those conversations and lead them down the right path. I always tell young people, like, it's great to have huge dreams where you want to have a multi-million-dollar business. But the easiest way to obtain wealth, one of the easiest ways to obtain wealth is through life insurance, right? Because you may have a 20-year plan to get your family on the map and create generational wealth, but God forbid something happened to you before you get to execute that 20-year plan. If you got an insurance policy in place, as long as the information is there, your family can carry on that legacy without you there. You funded that legacy to continue without you. So I always tell people, regardless of if you come from money or not, the quickest way to leave money for your family is through life insurance.
Right. That's right. Tax-free asset, can
yes.
really do it.
Yeah.
I asked you about that because, in our industry, we have a lot of different market segments, that we can add value in. I mean, we have property and casualty, you have, whether it be personal line, home and auto, you got commercial lines, you have Medicare spaces, you got supplemental benefits, you got employee benefits, you have all of these lines and I feel like, life insurance is a market segment that, although it's crucially important, it kind of, it kind of gets, I'm not saying it gets dismissed, but it kind of gets pushed to the side a little bit, not as much of a priority in the conversation, maybe as it should be. Is that your experience? I mean, I know that you're multi-market, so has that been your experience?
Yeah, it has. Like I said, unless it's, a hot topic around a specific product, a lot of times most people's conversation around life insurance is about death, right? Nobody wants to talk about death. Now, I will say that COVID did get a lot more people focused on their mortality, because when you got, hundreds of thousands of people dying all around you, you start to think, okay, maybe I'm not invincible. So we saw a spike in sales and people willing to have a conversation then. But yeah, a lot of times when you initially approach people and you want to have that conversation about life insurance, they're like, man, I ain't thinking about dying, miss me with that. And they don't want to talk about it. So you have to expand the conversation and say, look, that's just one component of it. There's so many other things that you can do with life insurance. Like you say, there's a whole PNC side where, you're talking about properly protecting your home and your auto and your business. And, a lot of times, again, not being informed causes us to buy the wrong products. I think there was a statistic I read the other day that said 90% of people that have insurance are underinsured, wrongly insured, misinsured. I mean, it's just a mess out there. So whether you're talking about life, you're talking about health, you're talking about your car, fortunately, when it comes to your auto, most states mandate you have insurance. So we don't even think about it. But what's more important than your car, you know what I'm saying, is making sure you create a legacy of wealth for your family through the other products that we offer. And even when it comes to those products, I think a lot of times people buy based on price and end up messing themselves up, right? If you got a $300,000 home, why do you want a $20 a month, homeowner's policy? That makes absolutely no sense. And I got a business partner who went through something here last year, and I think she was paying like $1,100 a month for her homeowners. So people like, yo, you bugging, like $1,100, but her house burned down. And because she had the policy that she had, she was pretty much able to build her house from the studs up. Where if she would have had that $20 policy, she would have been tail out. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not always about buying the cheapest or, the commercials you see the most. Is really about connecting with an agent that can educate you on what works. Even if cost is, a point of contention, sometimes we got to build the value so people understand, yeah, it may be worth you paying $1,100 or $700 or whatever it is, because if you don't, you're going to end up paying in the end.
How do I get more time? If you're a business owner, that's the question that you're asking yourself. How can you manage the business, generate the revenue, do your administrative tasks, run your social media, run your website, manage your calendar, book your appointments, generate your leads, and continue to be the face of your brand? You need to hire a virtual assistant. In fact, you need Better Business virtual assistants because you need someone who can help you with the social media, the website, the administrative tasks, managing the calendar, making those calls, setting those appointments, making sure that your business is running smoothly so that you can do best, and that's be the face of your brand and focus on those revenue generating opportunities and activities. How do I know? Because this video that you're watching right now was actually made by a virtual assistant. So if you want to take your business to a 10x growth of productivity so that you can enhance your efficiency, schedule a time by clicking the link below and you can talk to a high quality, high efficiency virtual assistant that can help you get to where you want to go. Peace. Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned that, connecting with an agent, especially one that can kind of direct you and give you some options. And I want to come back to that because I want to talk about the differences in running an agency that is independent, versus maybe being in a more captive environment. But I want to double back before I even go there. I want to go all the way back. You talked about, kind of coming up, being born in the 70s. What was your dream job coming up? Let's go back 10-year-old T Priester coming up. What were you thinking about doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, real talk. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So it wasn't even about a career. It was about money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And growing up in the inner city, you don't have a lot of options, right? You're going to rap, you're going to sing, you're going to be an athlete, you're going to be an actor. And I had none of those skills. I had a very short-lived on the corner battle rap career that, didn't go nowhere. So it was like, all right, like how else is there to make money? We know drugs don't last. That's a hot money. That's money now, dead tomorrow, jail tomorrow. So that wasn't really, something I looked to build wealth towards. And I don't know, man, I can't really say there was a path to wealth that I looked at or a career that I tied to money. I got through high school and, I said, well, somewhere I heard accountants make good money. So I said, all right, well, let me go be an accountant. So I went to school. I went to JUCO for like 2 semesters. I'm like, I'm done with school. I don't want to do that. Then, I'm like, well, maybe I want to do something different. Let me go chase a career in political justice, criminal justice. So I went back for a couple more months and didn't do that. And then I ended up going to the Marine Corps. And, in the Marine Corps, I think that's where I found my footing because I was forced to grow up. This was, a few years after high school. I had, tried a couple of things, failed at a couple of things. And I don't even know how I hooked up with the recruiter. This recruiter is slick. I mean, he approached me and next thing I know, I'm in the gym doing push-ups and running around with everybody else. And, less than 4 months later, I'm swearing in for the Marine Corps. So I didn't really have any career paths that I looked at to, build my future. I just kind of fell into the Marine Corps. And then after that, got into sales and that eventually led me into insurance.
Got you. Now, how long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
4 years. Hey, thank you for your service, by the way, as well.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So Marine Corps, you coming out of Marine Corps, kind of what, was it something that you did while you were serving that said, maybe I'll go into a sales arena? What kind of sparked that? What kind of sparked that as the path? So
interestingly enough, I didn't finish my whole tour, right? Yeah. I got a knee injury when I was in the military. And, the Navy doctors, a lot of them were students when, you're in the military. The Navy doctors are students that are going through the Navy to get their, become doctors. So a lot of surgeries are performed by students. So, I was scared because, everybody's like, oh, they're going to cut off the wrong leg, they're going to amputate you or whatever. And what happened is I just had a really bad case of tendonitis. And tendonitis is just something that needs a rest. But when you're in the military, you're not resting. You're running every day. You're doing PT, you're humping, you know what I'm saying? So I just never got the rest. So I got an option where I sat down and they were like, look, you can either, finish your tour with us doing surgery, or you can get out and get a pension. Well, I'm like, well, that's a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? Pay me, let me get out. So I took my money, I got out. And because I got out a little early, I wasn't really prepared for what was next. You know what I'm saying? So I got out, and the easy transition was I went to security. You know, I was a former Marine. I went in for communications, but once you get in the service, they put you wherever they want to. So I ended up being in the Provost Marshal's Department, which is an MP, for a little bit. So it was easy for me to get a job with security. I hated security, whack hours, you know, just doing stuff I really didn't like. And I came across this sales position. It was route sales. So, you know, when you go to a restaurant, you have the linen and the napkins and all that stuff. My job was to go in and negotiate the prices. Like, you know, we want to take over your linen for the restaurant. We'll offer you X amount of napkins or whatever. And then I would go to the mechanic shops and do the rags and different things like that. So I really enjoyed the art of negotiating, right? I can go in and based on how good I was at my job, I can make some decent money. So I did that for a few years. And I think that kind of gave me an appetite for sales. And I just kind of bounced around for a while trying to find out what the best fit was. And again, eventually, you know, it led me to insurance.
So Marine, so I guess with the Marines, obviously there, you know, there's a regiment, there's a process, you know, discipline. I mean, work ethic is going to be crazy based on the schedule. Coming out, you basically just transfer those skills, you know, into the route, and you just combine it with the negotiations. And, you know, obviously that sounds like a recipe for success. So taking that, I mean, these are all qualities that I find in our business are necessary to win, right? It's like you got to have the work ethic, you got to have the dedication, you got to be consistent. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to you have to be a communicator to talk. You have to be able to talk to people.